so excited to be here tonight, and if it's your first time, get ready for a really fun evening with Suzanne. We're going to be painting Serene Summer with folk art. And if you are new to Paint with Plaid, it's a really super fun series of paint-along live stream classes where we teach you how to paint a really fun painting in just about an hour. So if you're not following us on Facebook already, go ahead and do that and be one of the first to know about all of our upcoming Paint with Plaid nights. Yeah. So we're really excited. Summertime is coming up, and Suzanne, let's get started with Serene Summer.
All right. Hi everyone, welcome. We have a new setup this time, which is really nice. For this one, it's going to be an overhead, so you can watch everything that I do right here, which is going to be great. And I have all of the different folk arts that we're going to be using tonight. Wicker white is the first one. We're going to use medium blue, ink spot, pure black, thicket, clover, medium yellow, and burnt umber. And then the paint brushes that we're going to be using, they're the 2-pack of the base coating. They're large flat brushes. And then we're also going to be using the variety pack, which has 10 brushes. We're not going to use all of them, but we're going to use a good bit. And if you don't have these supplies, use what you have and paint along with us. So we're going to get started. You need some water and some paper towels and a palette. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to get my paper towels from mopping away. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our white, and you're going to squeeze out about 50 cents piece worth of white. And then you're also going to squeeze out some medium blue, about the same amount. Now we're painting on a hardboard surface tonight. And this is, I think, 11 by 14, or maybe, let me see what size this is. Oh, no, it's 14 by 18. And so this is a hardboard. It's not a stretched canvas. So this will be a little interesting. And for some of you who've never painted on this before, it's very hard, unlike a stretched canvas, which has some give to it. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking one of my larger brushes, and I'm just loading the white on the brush. Now, if your brush is brand new, you might want to rinse it in some water because a lot of times the bristles will have sizing on them to keep them in shape, keep their shape. So you're going to load your brush, and to load your brush, you're going to create an X back and forth like this, and this will just load your brush with a lot of paint. And that's why I like this big base coating brush is great for that. Okay, so now we have white. Now what you're going to do is we're going to do basically our horizon line with our trees for the background. So what we're going to do is take our finger down halfway of our canvas, and then we're going to drop down about 1.5 inches. And so above your finger is where the line is going to be with white. So you're going to take your paintbrush and hold it upright like this, and you're going to go straight across. And just push down, and don't worry about having it perfectly straight, because this is not like the ocean. This is a lake, and because of the lake you can have an irregular shape. So then I'm just going to take my white and do some long strokes. Now I'm going to load my brush with some more white, and again, and you can brush sideways like this, but you also can brush this way, back and forth, if you want to get a little bit more narrow and thick area. Now you can tell on the stretched canvas, it has a little bit more grip with your paintbrush. So you need more paint. If you're scrubbing, that means you don't have enough paint on your paintbrush. So now I've got a nice amount of white right here, so I'm going to just finish off by going back and forth to clean off my brush. So I'm just going up. So I've just cleaned off my brush, so now my brush doesn't have a lot of white on it, as you can see. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, so now, not cleaning my brush, I'm going to load my medium blue. And again, I'm going to go back and forth with X's to load my brush. And this time we're going to start at the top left corner. And if you're left-handed, you could start with the other corner if you'd like. And you're just going to make long strokes all the way off the page. Okay? And then you're going to load your brush again. We're going to do another stripe. Get that a little bit off. Okay. And again, if you're scrubbing, you just need more paint. But don't put too thick of a coat because we want it to dry in an hour. We don't want this to take a long time to dry. So now I'm again kind of just going back and forth and see how my brush is cleaning itself on the canvas. Okay. So now I'm going to go back and get some white because now this is all rough right in here. And I'm going to go over my white. Whoops. And I need a little bit more white. Because this is such a big canvas, you're going to need a lot of paint. And you need to turn off the fan. I have a fan blowing me right now, and it's drying my paint really fast.
And
it feels good. But
Suzanne, we had some new friends join us
yes,
out there on Facebook, and they wanted to see what we're painting. So if you're just now joining us, we're painting Serene Summer, this beautiful lakeside retreat. Perfect to kick off summer as part of our Paint with Plaid series. If you're new to Paint with Plaid, it's our series of live streams. Really fun. It's the perfect way to spend a night in with friends, spend a night with family, cozy up at home and paint along and get creative. So you can replay any of our Paint with Plaids on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Plaid Crafts. So, and if you're just joining in the middle of this, you can always replay this after it's over on our Facebook page. So this is Serene Summer, and Suzanne is taking us through it right now. Got some sky going on, which is looking absolutely beautiful, Suzanne.
So now basically what I did, I used white and then I picked up a little bit of blue to just blend it together. Now because this is a sky, it doesn't have to be, just solid color. You can have a little bit of whiffs of white in there. So just want to make sure it's all smooth and go down to where you're, whoops. And see, I just picked up a little bit of blue there as I did that, and that's okay. Just blend it, and then we're going to stop. As soon as even with some little stripes in there, that's okay. Okay, so now we're going to stop. So there's our sky, and that's our base for our sky. So now we're going to rinse our brush, and you're going to rinse your brush and dry it and set it aside. And the really good thing about having two of these big brushes is we're going to use the next brush. Since we have two, we're going to use the other one to do our lake. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to set that aside, and I'm going to get my other brush, and it's dry. And now to start the lake, you're going to take your ink spot. And again, now that you've done this, you know you need a little bit, a good bit amount of paint. And then we're also going to use some black. Not a lot of black. You don't need as much black as you do of the blue. And then replace a little bit of your medium blue and your white, just so that you have it when you need it. Okay, whoop, paint's rolling away. Okay, all right. So now we're using this brush. Now we're going to do our lake, and let's see if we can, how can we have you guys look at it again? Let me let you look at it again. So here's the final piece. So what we're going to be doing is painting this area, and we're going to leave some white in the middle. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that. So you're going to load your paintbrush in the ink spot. Ooh, this is pretty blue. Okay. And to load it again, just make a little X. Okay. Okay, so now the whole brush, if you can see, is loaded. But now I'm going to take just one side of my paintbrush and load it with some black. Okay. And we're going to start on the right hand side, and we're going to start at the white line that's our horizon line. Now let me show you this before you do it so that you can watch, so you see how to do it. You're going to press your paintbrush down, pull, and flick your hand. Okay, so we're going to leave this white right here. So I'm going to load some more paint, and I'm going to do it again. Press down, flick my hand. Okay, so you try it. And now I'm kind of mixing the paint as I go a little bit, but I'm going to try to do the same thing where I do the blue and black, paint, push down, flick your hand. And a little bit of black on the edge again. Press down, flick my hand. Press down, flick my hand. So if you have any little white spots, you can go back and just press down and flick.
And Suzanne, I know when we were doing this before, a good tip of leaving the white in the middle.
White in the middle, because now we're going to do the same thing, and I'm going to wait. Let's see. Got to make sure I get it on the right side. Do my little bit of black, and now I'm going from the left side, right at my horizon line, and I'm going to press down and flick. Okay. Get some more paint. Press down and flick. Now, this is really dark. It's like a dark blue type of lake. You can use dark greens. Somebody said earlier that lakes sometimes can have brown in them. So there. So see how I have this in the middle? So this is where our highlight of the sun is going to be. Okay. All right, so now we have this in the middle. So now you're going to take your brush without washing it, but you're going to take just a paper towel and just take a little bit of the excess of paint off. We don't want to wash it. We just want to get some of our excess paint off and set that to the side. Okay, now you're going to take some of your medium blue, just a little bit, and I have it kind of on the tip of my paintbrush. And this is just going to create some interest into the water. So you're going to take your paintbrush, you're going to hold it straight up and down, and you'll push. So you'll make these like little, almost like little stripes in the water. Like that. And this looks a little, we're going to blend this in a minute. You'll see. It's just right now we've got to get in some variance in there. Okay. Now right in this area we're going to have some land, and there'll be a highlighted area.
Sure,
you want to show?
Yeah.
Yeah, right here.
There we go.
So for that, whoops, goodness, I just painted on there. We're going to take some more of our blue, and let's just do a little bit heavier on this corner right here. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to take this light blue and mix it with a little white. You're going to pick up a little white with this. And again, we haven't washed our paintbrush. We're doing most of our mixing on our canvas. So this time we're going to, again, hold the paintbrush straight up and down, and you're going to go back and forth, kind of doing like a Z. On the way down, you just go Z, 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 down. Okay? And then I'm going to add a little bit of white up to the top of my horizon. Now, I know it doesn't look very mixed right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to rinse our brush. Now this part, you're not going to use a lot of water, but we're going to use water to help this flow. So you're going to rinse your brush, not all the way, but just get enough to where it's damp. You don't want it soaking wet, but you want it to have water on it. And then we're going to take it from the top, and we're going to kiss the canvas and pull it all the way across. And you touch the canvas all the way across. Make one stroke. Don't go back and forth. So again, we're going to use some of the water. And I'm going to go right under that and pull it all the way across. Okay. Get a little bit of the water. Do it again. Go all the way across. Get a little bit of water. So this has created, and if you want to go back just a little bit. So now that's our lake. Let's see if it's really shiny on there. Let's see if you can see. I've got a lot of shine on my painting. Let's see if you can see. There you go. I need to, woo, there we go. Let me stand up a little bit. Now if you see any areas that you need to work on, you can just add a little bit of more solid colors in some areas. Like I want a little bit more dark right here. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So now we're going to let our lake dry. We're going to rinse our paintbrush and let it dry. Dry it off. Okay. So now we're going to work on some of our clouds. Now to work on our clouds, we're going to use a brush that we haven't used before. And this is our little scruffy brush. It's a 3/4 inch scruffy brush. And it's pretty thick on the ends. Like this is furry. And this is a great brush to use to make clouds.
And we'll show them the pack.
Yeah.
And you can find the link to the supply list in the comments, pinned above in the comments. And if you're watching this as a replay later, you'll find that description in the YouTube description or on Facebook.
Okay, so now to do our clouds, we're going to take our scrubby brush and we're just going to pounce it just real lightly in the white. And then we're going to offload it just a little bit on the palette. And then you get to choose, I'm going to stand up, where you're going to put your clouds. So again, we all know clouds, they all vary. So I'm just tapping onto the canvas a cloud shape. And these all can vary. Everybody can do their own type of cloud. There's no right or wrong. And I'm only using one, I just dipped into the paint one time. I'm not going to go back and get more paint. Just for my first cloud, I'm using just the amount of paint I have on my brush. So it's creating some shadows. Like there you can see the blue through it. It's picking up a little bit of the blue. Now if you have if a little piece of hair or something comes out of your brush, don't worry, because once your painting's dry, you can usually wipe it off.
And this brush, Suzanne, makes like the fluffiest, most perfect
Doesn't
clouds
it?
ever.
I know. So, and then, okay, so now I've done one big one. So down here that's closer, you can do some little ones. So you might tap using the edge of your brush and do some variants. Another little one, another little one. Okay, and now I'm going to go back and make another maybe big one right over here. And if you feel like you've got it a little too hairy looking, like there's lots of little parts coming out of the brush, you can always also just kind of soften it by making kind of like a cloud, like a little swoop brush. But it's pretty fun just to bounce it. Okay.
And a fun comment. Thanks, Rebecca. Rebecca loves all the brushes, and she loves the base coating brushes. It makes it really easy and smooth to base coat.
Yes, it does. And that's a great brush to do abstracts with because they get a lot, especially on big paintings. You can do a lot of really good coverage. Okay, so I'm just going to add one more cloud right here, just another little fluffy cloud. And I think we'll have maybe one more here. Goodness, I've got a lot of clouds going on. They're so fun to paint, though.
They're so fun.
It's like
it's kind of like the cloud game where you see what that looks like when you're a kid.
Exactly.
I see a turtle, actually.
Okay. Okay, so now we're going to let this dry, and we're going to rinse our paintbrush.
Oh, Patty said the first cloud looks like a mouse to her.
Oh, okay. Mickey Mouse. Okay, let's see. So now that we have our clouds, and now our clouds are going to dry, and while they're drying, we're going to get out And I think what we're going to do, well, I don't know. We still have space on our palette. If you need to use another palette sheet, now might be a time that you can use another one. So what we're going to do now, we're going to do the tree line of the horizon. So what we're going to need is the thicket.
And there's a quick peek at that. So you can check out the tree line that Suzanne's about to show you how to paint.
Okay. So that was thicket. So you make your little pile of thicket. And this time we're going to use a number 10, I think the number 10 flat. Number 10 flat or the number 12 flat. It's your choice. So again, I've got to load my paintbrush. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a really dark green. So I'm going to take a little bit of my green over here, separate it, and add a little bit of black. More green than black, but you just want a really nice dark green. It almost looks black. Let me put a little bit more green in there. Okay. So it's not black, it's not pure black. It's a green tint, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the camera, but so now what we're going to do is make a line for, and that's where we'll be able to clean up all of this that we have right there because we're going to cover it up with trees. So now you'll take your paintbrush, and this is where you'll touch the water's edge, and you're going to paint about, I don't know, about 6 inches like this, and make your, so it's along the water's edge. Okay, and then now that we have that, I'm going to make, this is where I'm going to make my tree line. And the tree line is, it varies. You can make some taller on the tree line, and they can go lower. And this, we just want a suggestion of tree line. You don't want specific trees over and over and over. You just want the suggestion of the trees. So now I'm going to load my brush again and do about another 6 inches of trees. Okay. And again, just vary some of the heights. And all I'm doing with that is I'm just patting my brush down. Okay.
Suzanne, and not only are we painting Serene Summer, just the act of painting is a very calming experience. And I love the idea of painting this along with someone. Now would be a great time to share this video with someone that you'd like to paint with. Don't worry, you can replay this later if you don't have your supplies with you just yet, but we'd love for you to share our video, and if you would like to replay it, you can do it on our Facebook page, which is Plaid Crafts, or on our YouTube channel within 48 hours of the end of this broadcast.
Yes, and this is a great painting for Father's Day.
I love the idea of grabbing Dad and painting along with him.
Yeah, and then maybe if you have a cabin at the lake, you can hang it at your lake house.
That sounds very serene, Suzanne.
All right, like so now I'm just ending, and again, this is really just to give this suggestion of trees in the background. So all of this would be in shadow, close to the water's edge. Okay, so there's no right or wrong way to do trees or to do this type of painting, but it's just to create some distance. So now, I'm going to wipe off my brush. I'm not going to clean it. I'm just going to wipe it off on some paper towel just to get a lot of the excess paint. And I'm going to go back to the thicket, the green thicket, load my brush, and now the sun is shining down onto the tops of these trees right along here. And so I'm going to, let me just look, I'm just wondering if this is glaring too much for the people at home. I wonder if I need to tilt it a little bit. See if they tell us.
Yeah, let us know if you're getting a glare out there. I think that helped a little when we
it did? Okay.
tilted a bit, which we can.
Yeah, because I can see the glare, so I'm just wondering if
I think that
does that help a little bit?
It does.
Okay. because I don't want them to just be. So now I'm just going along the tops of the trees with the thicket, and this is just where the sun is hitting and you see the green of the trees. But underneath would all be shadow near the water because of the distance. So, and again, you don't have to do it everywhere. You can just spot, because some areas will have more shade than others. Some trees will be thicker. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay, so now that we have that, we're going to go back to our clouds, because we've got to, now that we're doing everything in an hour, so we have to be strategic how we let things dry. So hopefully you washed your little scruffy brush. And so what we're going to do is take a tiny bit of black. I mean, like, and I'll show you before. Let me show you how little of black I'm going to show you. I don't even know if you can see this in the camera. It's like a little bitty bit to mix in my white, because I want to make a gray. But I want a really light gray. Unless you want a thunderstorm, then you can make I'll get a tiny little bit more. So you want to make a darker color, but not too gray. You want a light gray, and then we're just going to add some shadows to our
and
cloud.
We'll grab the camera so we can just get a little closer, just in case, to get some of the detail you have going on.
Okay.
On our clouds here.
You got it?
Let's see.
Okay.
There we go. The detail of the clouds. You can check out your mixing over there too. And if you're just now joining us, we are using folk art with our Paint with Plaid series tonight, our super fun series of paint along live streams. We're painting Serene Summer, and Suzanne is putting some finishing touches on the clouds here, and we'll look at this. You actually mixed two colors.
White with some pure black. And then and a lot of your shadows go along the bottom of a cloud, like underneath here. So we're just giving our clouds some depth. Okay.
Those are looking great.
Okay. You got it? Okay. And if your paint gets a little dry, you can add just a little bit of water to make it flow and be a little bit smoother and flow easier, because folk art paints are really creamy and thick. So sometimes, whoops, I'm getting a storm there with some darker colors.
And how do you fix that, Suzanne, if you happen to get your clouds a little too stormy, but you want them a little sunnier?
Okay, so what I would do in that case is I would just dry my brush off real quick, off to the side, and then I would go back with my brush and kind of pick up a little bit of the paint. See, it kind of removes it. Mm-hmm. Dry my brush again and go in some white and just hit it again and bring it back to the white again. Acrylics are very forgiving. You can either do that or you can let it just dry and paint right over it.
Looks like that did the trick.
Yeah. So now you can just go back with a little bit. I need a little bit more white. We're going to go back with some bright white just to give our cloud some bright highlights. So like right in this area, I'm going to go back with straight white and really give my clouds some brightness.
Yeah, they're starting to have an amazing depth to them.
Right, and it's because we're layering, because the first batch that we did, or the first layer that we did of color, actually picked up some of the blue and gave it some depth, and then we added the gray, and now we're going back with some bright white for the highlights of the clouds. So this is what gives it the tone. So we have 3 different tones in this cloud.
And the folk art scruffy brush makes them really fun to paint.
Yes, it does. And you know, it does a lot of the work for you, because it's hard to create something so natural and organic looking. And this does it, it just makes it easier with the brush style. Okay, let me just get this one.
And if you're painting along live with us, let us know in the comments if you have any questions about what we're doing.
Okay.
That's looking so great.
Oh. How's everybody doing? Oh, look, everybody's clouds look good. Okay.
And don't forget to share your work with us using hashtag #PaintWithPlaid. You can also post it to our Facebook page or on Instagram, and just be sure to hashtag #PaintWithPlaid because we absolutely want to see your work out there.
Okay. All right, so we have a very cloudy sky today on our lake. All right, so I think we're going to keep moving on. And if you're at home and you can replay this at a different time, you can always pause. And if you want to keep going or perfect something or slow down, because I know I go pretty fast to keep it within the hour. So that's good to know.
That's a great tip, Suzanne.
All right. So now we are going to start down here with our land.
And we'll just give them a peek of that just so they can reference it.
Right.
There's
so what we're going to do is we're going to make this shape where we come around and we go all the way across. Okay. But to do that, we're going to need I'm going to need a little bit more palette paper. So if we can just move that over.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so on the palette paper, we're going to need some of your clover. Okay. All right. And we're going to need these colors we're going to need for the tree too. So, and thicket again. And some black.
Question from Joanne. Hi, Joanne. Thanks for joining us. Question: because the clouds are so bright, would you make the water brighter? That's a great question.
You could add, and not only that, we're going to add some white at the end to the water to make it a little bit brighter, from the section that. So yes, but the other thing is the water can also reflect. You're right. It's whatever is above it is usually what's reflected. Okay, and then we're also going to do some burnt umber, a little bit of our medium yellow, and again, some white, just to have some white, because we might need it in a little bit. Just not a whole lot, though.
And when you were teaching this to us at Plaid, Suzanne, we were amazed that we really did complete this in an hour. I know they all looked amazing.
Yeah,
and it's so fun to paint.
Okay, so now we're going to do our land, and we're going to start on the left-hand corner, kind of midway up from your water, and you're going to load your brush. You're going to load your brush with thicket, and you're going to load again the number 10 flat or the number 12 flat. And you go back and forth to make sure you load a lot of paint on it.
Which part?
Thicket. And what we're going to do with our paintbrush right now, all we're doing is drawing with it. And then we'll fill in the color later. But we're going to take our land down, and it's going to look like it's going down into the water where we did the lighter color. And then we're going to scoop back around. And if you go over some of the blue and it's still wet, don't worry, because the green with the blue will just make a different green.
And I know, Suzanne, another great tip that you gave us was just feel free to freeform this organic landmass.
That's right. And all we're doing is just going all the way to the end, and you can press your paintbrush down and up and down and up, and you'll see it'll just make like a really nice edge. Press down and release, press down and release. Okay, so now we'll fill in this area with some of the thicket. And now this is our darker color now for our land. So for this, things that are closer to us, which is little land masses, we're pretty close. We're standing, about right here. So it'll be brighter a little bit closer to us, or a little bit more detail, especially with some grasses that we're going to draw, or paint, I should say.
And another quick tip, if you're someone, if you'd like to reference the painting while you're painting, you can actually click on the supply list link and you'll see a photograph of the painting there, so you can kind of pull that up at the same time if you'd like to have that to reference as you're painting along tonight with Suzanne.
Okay, so now this area, I'm going to stop for a little bit so I have this so I can still mix with it. I don't want it to dry too much. So I'm going to go now for this area right in here. I'm going to use a little bit of my clover. That's my medium green. And I'm going to, let me paint it, let me do it this way so you can see. I've got to make it so you can see. Up and down. So this would be like where, you know, grass, how grass grows. So I would paint up and down like this.
Let's see, and so we're actually going to shift this a little bit.
Oh, so they can
there.
see it?
There we go.
Okay, good. Okay. Well, it would help, yes, if you can see. All right. So now there's a little hump right here. I'm going to stop. I'm going to go a little bit right in here. And this is just creating some depth. We're going to go back with some other layers. And as I get down here, now I'm going to pick back up. So I've got this nice little blended area. So now I'm going to go take some clover and put it over here by itself and pick up a little bit of yellow and mix in it. Let me grab a little bit more. And I'm going to make like a bright green. So there we go. Like a limey green. And now this is going to be our bright green. And this we'll do a little bit of along the edge, just a little bit. And I'm just going to tap my brush in a few little areas. Okay, down maybe near the water's edge, but only on the top because this will all be like a little bit of shadow in there. And then here, along the top of my little hill, I've got a highlight there. And then we're going to tap down just a little bit. So this is creating, if you're tapping, it's creating like a little bit, it looks a little bit like pieces of grass. Okay, so now we can continue with our, let's go back and load with our thicket so that we can finish this area. And this is a little wet on mine, but this over here is really dry, so I'm going to start over here with some thicket.
Suzanne, I love how you mixed the different folk art colors to create some, because we're total only using 8 colors tonight.
Right, yes.
And you're getting so much depth.
Yes, and you can add to your collection of folk art paints too. With each one of our paint sessions, you have different, you know, there's all types of colors that you can work with. And this is what I'm creating here is mainly just each time we're keeping to where we have like a highlight, a mid-tone, and a mid-range and a dark. So this is kind of the same. Oh, I accidentally took some of the thicket, some of the clover, but I'm just going to cover it up with some thicket.
Oh, and a question from Joanne about the size of the canvas.
I think it's a 14 by...
It's a 14 by 11?
14 by 18.
14 by 18.
14 by 18. And it's really, these hardboards are really nice because they help with your budget too. Because usually they're less expensive than a stretch canvas. And most of the time they come in like packs of 5. Even for this size, you can get like a pack of 5. And so you have lots of opportunities to paint and try new things. Okay, so now I've got all this thicket. So I'm going to go back and just do a little bit like I did before. Just some really quick highlights, and I'm not going to do it too detailed. I'm just brushing really quickly. I'm not mixing everything with the clover. And if I feel like I get a little bit too flat of a color and not enough variance, I just tap my brush. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to go back and I'm going to use a little bit of that bright green again, which I'm mixing because the bright yellow makes a really great. So this way you can mix the yellow with either one of the greens. You could mix it with the thicket or with the clover. And also, for people out there that might not know this, if you mix yellow and black, that also makes olive, makes a green also. So see, I'll show you. You mix yellow with a little bit of black. It makes a really cool green. So see, that even makes a really nice,
Oh, yeah.
another shade of green.
That's awesome.
Yes. Okay, so now I'm going to get my lime. And again, we're just going to tap it into here and get some highlights. And again, I'm not going to do, I'm just going to just a little bit all into out here.
That's looking great, Suzanne.
I hope everybody out there is having fun. Okay, all right. So now, whew, I know we're painting fast here, doing this in an hour. And again, at home, if after we're done with this and you want to go back and watch it again, you can always go back and watch it again, and pause it and go as slow as you need to. Okay, so now right in here, we're going to do a little bit of land, a little bit of soil. So we're going to take our burnt umber and a tiny bit of white, just to lighten it up a little bit. And it's okay if you get a little bit of stripes in it, where you don't have it completely mixed, that's okay. And then we're going to follow the soil line to where it just kind of goes down into the water. So all I did was just kind of draw that. So that's my little land mass. Okay.
And let us know in the comments if you're watching us live, if this is your first time joining us. If it is your first time, welcome. And also know that you can replay all of our past Paint with Plaid nights on our YouTube channel, our website, and our Facebook page, Plaid Crafts.
Okay, so now to finish off our land, we're going to do some little, let me take this back up if you want to take it back up.
And this would be great to get a little bit closer on this
Doing
brush,
the-
because I know you're doing the liner.
Right,
Is
so
that
now
right?
we're
Okay.
going to use the number 1 liner brush. It looks like this.
There we go. And then what you'll be
Yeah.
creating here, this
Yeah.
little
Yeah, with the grass.
blades of grass there, and we can
Okay.
get a little bit
Yeah,
closer
so-
look, because I know it's a fine.
Yes, so what
skill
we're
for
going
this
to
one.
do is you're going to mix, this is going to be in the lime green color, the bright green color. And you're going to twirl your paintbrush. And then once you twirl it, you can make a point. See, like that. Okay. And then we're going to press down onto the land and then pull up. Okay.
We'll get in close for those of y'all at home so you can see these little blades of grass.
And you can make some long, you can make some turn sideways.
And if you happen to get a larger stroke than what you're anticipating, what can you do to help that?
So like, say I did that
Yep,
by
yep.
accident. So what I would do then is I would just go ahead and create the mass a little bit brighter. And then I would go back, like that's like a little hill right there. And I would just use that to brush it out. And just keep going.
And that's the number 1
It's the
liner
number 1
brush.
liner. Now, to make sure that your brush flows, you want the paint to flow really well, you can add just a little bit of water so it gets it really creamy and a little thinner. And sometimes if it's a little thinner, you can control it, even, because you can even do really fine little grass blades. Like that. So this is a great brush for that.
It is. I know that this folk art variety set is perfect
Yes.
for
There's everything
brush
in
set.
there. There's the longer liner, which we're going to use in a minute. And then you can back up and do some little blades of grass, like in some of this areas. And if you wanted to, you can go back and use a little bit of yellow and maybe make some little dandelions in the fields. Or
All right.
all right. So then I'm going to just do a few blades here, and here I'm going to do some longer grass because it's near the water edge. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So now we've got our grass, and we've got our bank, and we've got our water. But before we paint our trees, we need to do the highlight of the water and also the water's edge.
And I'll just give y'all a quick peek at that.
It's right here. We're going to be doing this area and a little bit of this right in here with white. So this brush that we're going to use is the number 2 liner, and this one is a lot longer. You can see the brush is a little bit longer, which is nice for doing some long strokes, and it helps you with keeping things straight. So this one we're going to use white, and again, to make sure that it flows really well, if your white is thick, like I said, the titanium white folk art paints tend to be thick, which is great because they cover well. But sometimes if you want to make really detail, you need to add just a little bit of water to thin it out, and it'll make your brush flow a lot better and a lot easier. So with this, you want to spin your brush, and it'll make a nice little point. And so now we're going to take it, and you'll go from the left-hand side, and we're going to go all the way across to the right. But I don't want you to do a whole solid line. You want it to be broken and very thin. So you just, and to do it, you just go slow, and it takes a little bit of practice, but you're going to go slow and barely touch the canvas. I mean, barely touch it. It's like a whisper right onto the canvas. And sometimes if your brush jumps and it doesn't hit the canvas and then it hits and there's a little bit of skipping, that's okay. That's like the water. This is the highlight of the edge. So see, all of that is not exactly, solid. Okay, whoops. And, right.
Oh, I just want to give a welcome to Marietta. It's her first time watching, so welcome. And she hasn't painted in years, but this is making her want to start again. So this is a great way to get back into painting if you've been out of it for a little bit. Perfect way to jump back in and get creative and relax, or have a fun night in with friends or family. We talked about Father's Day is coming up. Great activity to do and plan with Dad.
Okay, so right in this area is where our trees are going to go, so I'm not going to do a white line right there. I'm just going to, you can bring it up to, even if you did, that's okay, but I would suggest stopping there. Now here, I'm just going to almost like dry brush with my brush, which means I'm barely touching it and letting just a little bit of paint go on. So this is where we're going to be adding more white for highlights. And again, let me get a little bit of water to make sure it flows.
Another really fun idea, especially for this particular painting, is to replay this video while on vacation with your friends or family and paint it.
There you go.
At night, have some snacks, some beverages. Sounds like a really, really fun night in to me.
Yeah. Me too. I could. There we go. Okay, so now, and then again, I'm going to do just a little bit more right here, kind of in the front. And again, I'm just pulling my paintbrush sideways. And dry brush is where you don't do really solid pieces of paint. You just lightly brush the paint on, and you'll see a little bit of the canvas texture. So now we've got this really nice lighting, and it's a little glary. Let's see if we can figure it out to where you can. There we go. Looks a little. Now I'm going to go back with just a tiny bit of water on my paintbrush to blend in a little bit of the white.
And you're using the folk art base coating brush there. And a question from
Okay.
Debbie, is there a medium you can use instead of water to make it glide?
You can use, we have a float medium. The reason I'm not using it is because it keeps your paint really fluid for a long period of time, and we'd have a real hard time getting this painted in an hour. But if you can pause and stop, the float medium is really nice. But again, like I said, we just want to make sure, we have time.
And I know y'all use the floating medium all the time down in the design studio.
Yes, we do, especially when we're not, crafting pretty. Sometimes though, we're fast crafters.
Right.
Okay, so now we're going to paint our tree. So you're going to need your liner brush that is your #1 liner brush and some the burnt umber. I'm going to load that onto my brush. I'm actually going to. Now, right here is where I think I'm going to put the first tree. Now, I think it's a little bit like maybe 2 inches from the side. And I want the height to be just a little bit, about 3 inches above the horizon line of the trees. So I'm going to use my liner brush and I'm going to press down, and I'm going to balance my hand a little bit on the side of the canvas just to give myself some steady. And then I'm going to just, and again, I'm going to run out of paint, but that's okay. I'm just drawing for right now. Now I'll go back and load my paintbrush again. And I just want to make sure that the top is pointed or very thin. And then as I go down, I can press my paintbrush down and it'll make my trunk a little bit thicker. But you want to keep it kind of, it depends on the type of tree that you're painting. If you want one with a thicker trunk, it's up to you. But I just like to do it all, keep it about the width of the paintbrush as you're pressing down all the way down. And I just hit it to the grass. Okay. And it's okay if it's a little, don't worry about it being straight. This is it's a tree, so its trunk can be a little bumpy. Okay, so now we're going to decide that the sun is going to be coming from the left-hand side of our canvas. So we want to highlight this side of the tree. So I'm just going to use just a little bit of white and a tiny little bit of yellow. And I'm going to hit the side of the tree just a little bit, going down the burnt umber. So this will just highlight the side of the tree. Okay. And then you can kind of blend a little bit of that into the burnt, like that. Okay. So now we're going to do our next trunk. This one we're going to do again, you just load burnt sienna. I'm sorry, not burnt sienna, burnt umber. We're going to go over about about 4 inches. And I'm going to go a lot taller for this one. And again, starting with a point and using my pinky just to keep my hand steady. I'm going to pull it straight down, all the way down over the water. And then we'll do the highlight. Okay, so the highlight, do a little bit of white, tiny little bit of yellow, spin my brush, and this will be the highlight to this one. And again, I'm going to just go down the left side. Okay. Okay, so now we get to do our leaves.
Also a really fun part.
Yes, or really the needles, I should say, because this is a evergreen. So again, now I'm going to, out of the pack, I'm sorry, I didn't grab this one out. Can you get me a number 12 out?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
That would be great. A
Absolutely.
number 12 flat will be a little bit because the trees are pretty big, so it'll be, and if you feel okay using, you can use a number 10 flat, but we're going to use a number 12. So again, it's flat like this.
Part of the
Part of this pack.
folk art
Yes,
artist
see, we
variety
have so
set.
many we can use. Okay, so now we're going to load our brush with the thicket, and this is our darkest color that we use. And we're going to start at the top. Now this is how we're going to paint the tree. So we're going to start at the top. Now after you've loaded your brush, you want to make sure that you keep the edge really flat. Okay? And we're going to use it by straight up and down. So you'll see, this is how I started the first needle. It's just right on the top. And then I just pounce my brush up and down and around like this. I'm just pouncing it, and that becomes the top of my tree.
And we can get a little bit closer with the camera because I know it might be hard to see because the motion is so up and down. We'll get a little bit closer for y'all at home to be able to see that, and then we can take a look at what everyone else is doing out there. It's just a little hard to, there you go.
So you see you're just pouncing it. And then you can leave a little bit of your trunk showing.
And is this the same motion that you would use to create the entire tree?
Well, as you get lower, let me just show you, as you get lower, you can pounce and then you can drag down like this. So you have like needles. So you would go on this side, pounce, 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 and pull down to create like a needle effect. But you want to give us some depth right here.
These were really fun to paint when you were teaching
Yes,
us.
there's really not a right or wrong way to do it. You just kind of imagine what, an evergreen looks like. And the edge of the flat is really nice because if you hold it up, you just get just the edge, which is a nice sharp point. Now I'm going to go over this and it's going to go away probably, because I'm going over, but we're going to add the mid-tone greens and some light greens. So there we go.
That's looking so good.
Yeah. So now just get wider as I go down. Okay. And the neat thing is leaving some of the trunk showing. That really adds to the effect. And now as I get to the bottom areas, I'm going to be a lot more generous with my paint and my paintbrush. I'm making bigger strokes. I'm not, see up here was, up at the top was really fine strokes, and down here it's filled in a lot more because this is, the top of course is new growth of the tree, and this is older growth that is thicker. Now when I get to the bottom, I'm going to leave some of the trunk down here. So I'm going to leave this much. I'm not going to paint anything on that. And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to get my medium green with a little bit of the highlight. And I'm just going to add to my outsides of my trees. Get a little bit more.
There you go.
Whoops, sorry. So again, I kind of do the same technique.
Similar technique, just a different shade.
Yes, and I'm actually going to highlight just on this side of the tree mainly because of the sun. But you can see. Yep. All right, so now we just continue this all the way down the tree.
All right, well, why don't we take a peek at the rest of our class? So y'all are out there painting along with us, but we're actually have some friends with us painting here too. Let's see how the trees here are going. It's looking like a good looking tree, Jackie. So nice. Ooh, powerful trees. Very nice. John has left us momentarily, maybe to grab a snack or a drink. These are looking great. I like your clouds there, Yvonne. Very fluffy. Awesome. Ooh, that's a very cute tree. Looking good. These look great. These look so great. Awesome. All right. We'll go back over to you here, Suzanne.
Okay. And again, I'm showing the highlight. The highlight is the sun coming to this side. So this side of the tree will have the brightest of the highlights. And usually on the top of the branch, not up underneath the branch, because, of course, that's where the shading is. And try different techniques with your brush, just see what it can do, especially when you pounce just on the end, or if you go back and forth, you can make even like a line. We had some different varieties of trees when we were doing it, when we practiced this week. So I'm just hitting a few little highlights. Okay, so now we're going to repeat this on this big tree. And then we'll be close to being finished.
All right.
So again, we're going to do the same technique, loading my paintbrush with thicket, making sure I get the flat edge, starting at the top. And this one's a little bigger tree.
And if you happen to be a little behind or you're joining us a little late, don't worry. You can replay this as well as any of our other Paint with Plaid nights, which it's a great way to host a fun night in with friends, a fun night just to spend some creative time with yourself, just cozy up with a cup of coffee or your favorite beverage and paint the night away. Sounds amazing.
Yes. And and you can also pause it anytime and, take a little break or go slower if you'd like, or take more time. You can also take a canvas and just practice just making trees.
Yes, actually, someone out in the comments, they mentioned that trees were kind of like a problem area, so you could literally paint a whole little forest of practice trees.
Yes, and this is fun. This little tapping with a flat brush is a great way, because see, you can also just kind of go down. Just tap just on the edge and just create like little lines.
And watching all of participating in all of our Paint with Plaid is a great way to build your collection of folk art paint.
As well as learn different techniques.
As well as learn lots of techniques. I love that every paint night you feature a different technique that you can use and practice and truly learn to paint in a fun environment.
Because next month we're going to repeat some of this just in a different way.
Little sneak preview. Stay tuned till the end of our painting and we will sneak peek the painting to you, and the event listing should now be up in the event section of our Facebook page, which is Plaid Crafts. So be sure to RSVP there and get the supply list for our next painting.
Yes, and I will say one of the good things about next month is I did use some of the same paintbrushes. So you can go on and, go ahead and plan your party. Because you've got the paintbrushes, so you can. Okay, so now on this side, you're going to go, see how I'm going over the tree? It's okay. You're going to go, I'm just going right over this one because it's in front. So it's covering up some of the. All right, so now I'm getting a little bolder, a little thicker here with my paintbrush, and then I'm going to again stop. I'm not going to go all the way down. This one I might make a little bit lower. Okay, I'm going to go back with my medium yellow. Not yellow, sorry, excuse me. My medium green, which is clover. And I'm going to just add, because this is lighter, this is the medium green. I'm going to go on the tops. And then I'm going to go back and add a little bit of yellow just for my highlights.
And these are your finishing touches.
Yep, this is my finishing touches. We're just using the highlights because you basically are just repeating what we did on the other tree. And adding a little bit of the green.
That's looking so good, Suzanne.
I know, this is so fun. And it'd be great to just do a whole forest.
It would be.
Seriously, this is fun.
And be sure to share your work with us using hashtag #PaintWithPlaid on Instagram, on any social channel, and also we'd love to see it on our Facebook page as well.
Okay. Bless you. All right. So just finish with the last highlights and we'll be done. Right. Just gonna have a few over here. Now, the last thing you do, is you sign your painting. So I'm gonna use my #1 liner, and I usually sign it. Usually on mine, I sign on the bottom right-hand corner. Some of you might want to sign, especially if you're left-handed, sign on the other side. But you just sign your painting, and we'll call it a night.
Yay!
Yay!
It's beautiful, Suzanne. Let's hold it up so everyone can take a peek at your painting. Serene summer, absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much, Suzanne.
You're
This is so
welcome.
fun.
It was so fun.
And speaking of fun, ta-da! I'm so excited about this one.
I know. This is
This
gonna be fun.
is called Summer Memories, and we're going to be painting this as our next Paint with Plaid night on July 12th.
Yes.
So get ready for a fun night with folk art and with Plaid, and featuring Mod Podge as
Yes.
well. This is actual sand. If you can get up closer on this is actual sand,
sand,
beach sand, as well as shells.
Right, this was from my vacation, so this is beach sand and shells that we collected. If you don't have beach sand and shells, you can buy it, at the craft store. Or ask some of your friends that maybe were fortunate enough to go to the beach.
Right, there you go. There you go. But this is really fun. Be sure to check out the event section on our Facebook page, so RSVP now, and get the supply list for this. And you'll also be able to get a promo code to purchase your supplies on plaidonline.com.
And also make sure you post your pictures to #PlaidCrafts so we can see or paint
Absolutely.
with Plaid.
Hashtag Paint with Plaid. We absolutely
with
want to
Plaid.
see your work.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you all so much for joining us.
Bye-bye.